Face the event. From brand ambassadors and event staffers to magicians and presenters, it's the one and only podcast to introduce the faces in and around the trade show and events industry. And here's our host, Scott Tokar.
Hello and welcome to Face the Event. My name is Scott Tokar. I am your magical MC. I am your ringleader for the world of trade show staffers, brand ambassadors, crowd gatherers, the folks that work in live events. If you work in live events, this is the podcast for you, because here's where you're going to learn the tips and tricks that are going to help you make more money and get booked more frequently. This week, we have an interview with a lead in trade show staffing, which means that she ends up being sort of the ringleader on the trade show floor for a group of brand ambassadors or trade show staffers. We're going to talk with Channon Dade in just a moment. And before we get to her interview, we always have a topic that we want to cover. And this week, we're going to cover the topic, what should you do if you lose your voice? How do you keep your voice in great shape while you're on an activation or on a trade show floor? So without any further ado, here's voice tips.
Voice tips, not losing your voice. The number one tip about this is water, water, water. Staying well hydrated is the number one way that your voice will not go out on you.
I try to drink as much water as I can.
Usually I just continue to drink water or drink anything I can throughout the day.
Well, if you're having difficulty speaking, you should have been drinking more water, and I always tell people to carry throat lozenges. Doesn't have to be cough drops, but like Ricola, so that you don't get yourself into that position.
Well, always drink water during, after, before the show. That's always going to help keep you hydrated, and that always affects your voice.
So I bring a refillable bottle with me. I'll go through several bottles of those in the course of a trade show day. Even if that's way more than I normally drink, I make myself do it. It will make all the difference in the world.
I always try to have bottled water with me, whether it's in the jacket, the pocket of my jacket, or hidden at the front desk.
That would be keeping it lubricated, so drinking lots of water, using air, a steady voice. So you want to use your air and push out that sound.
You really have to train your voice. If you're speaking from the back of your voice, you're going to lose your voice before the end of the day.
So it's important to know your voice and learn how your voice works. And then from that information, which is sometimes trial and error, decide what your plan of care is.
Always make sure in the morning that you put a wet washcloth that's hot on your face and inhale that steam. Do the same thing at night. You want to get as much humidity on your vocal cords as possible.
And then in terms of pacing yourself over the course of a show or event, be responsible. Make sure you're hydrating a ton.
And then at the end of the night, if I feel the least bit raspy, hot tea and honey and some lemon before I go to bed. In the morning, hot tea, lemon and honey.
And a lot of times at the end of the day, the trade shows have a happy hour or whatever else they call it, meet and greet. And by the end of the day, they're usually maybe having one presentation or two, and it's always good to have a glass of wine. That usually takes care of the losing your voice at the end of the day. And the client is usually feeding you the wine.
Rest. At night, don't be going out to clubs and partying and screaming at the top of your lungs. Your obligation is to the trade show floor.
I travel with a hot pot that steams water, so I always try and keep my room as humid as possible. You should look into foods that might dehydrate you or cause inflammation. I do not drink red wine when I travel because the sulfides will make me lose my voice. Anything that's high mucus producing, don't do that. Don't eat those foods either.
Hot tea is the best thing to do to soothe your voice. Hot tea and salt and water.
And you also want to drink water at night when you go home. And if you can prevent yourself from talking, just like singers, don't talk at night when you go home. Rest your voice. Let it rest.
Hall's mentholatum cough drops or throat lozenges. I always have those on hand. You just never know.
Second tip, let your microphone do the work. The temptation is, oh my gosh, I have a big crowd. Okay, everybody, step on it. No, the mic is there. You've got your mic, headset mic, whatever it is, your handheld mic. Let the AV people crank you up a little bit. Let it do the work. You can have the same energy, but you don't have to shout. Let the mic do the work.
And don't talk. Oh my gosh, after a trade show, for at least 3 to 4 days, I tell my entire family, guys, I can't talk. For 3 to 4 days, especially if you're at a trade show with 60,000 attendees, for 3 to 4 days, it's over. You're done for at least 3 or 4 more days to catch up.
Talk as little as possible because your voice is your instrument and it is vital to you doing your job. So you want to savor it and you want to take care of it.
We want to thank Larry Wyatt, Alexis Bays, Veronica DeVeldi, Becky Jo Schwarz, Channon Dade, Robin Bell, Rick Gerber, Philip Victor, Jennifer Canali, and Sasha Higgins for helping us keep our voices in top-notch condition. Our guest today has had over a decade in the industry of trade show staffing. Now, not only has she been a crowd gatherer, a host, and an MC, but she's now a trainer of other staffers that are coming up the ranks, as she is now the district manager for CE Talent. She's going to be talking with us and telling us how you can get paid more to work your way up the ladder to actually be a floor manager of other talent on that same activation. And if you're new to the industry, she's going to share with us the top things that you should know when you're on an activation. What qualities make a great trade show host or hostess? She's going to talk to us about job staff diversity and how you can get hired for full-time and supplemental work whenever you're looking for a gig. Well, without any further ado, let's have a quick conversation with Channon Dade. All right. Hey, Channon, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you, Scott?
Fantastic. Welcome to Face the Event. I appreciate your coming out here and chatting with us today.
Good. Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Oh, no problem at all. Hey, let me ask, I always like to ask at the very beginning, you do trade show gathering, crowd gathering, and badge scanning, right?
Yes, and trade show management, floor management.
Oh, okay. So how long have you been in the business? How long have you been doing this?
Woo, probably over 11 years, I want to say.
Wow.
Yeah,
like me, we've been in the business for a long time.
Yeah, I shocked myself. I just realized that when you asked that. I hadn't thought about it.
Now, what do you like to call yourself? Is there like a title that you like to put after your name?
Not really, just Channon Dade.
Yeah, I mean, some people like I really love the name brand ambassador. I think that sounds great, but in the trade show industry, when we think brand ambassador, often we're thinking someone that's doing more local liquor or supermarket kind of demonstrations.
Gotcha.
Crowd gatherer, badge scanner, host, hostess. Is there a title that you like to go by?
Yes, I apologize. I actually work for CE Talent, I'm a district manager for CE Talent.
Oh, okay.
So, and I do a lot of talent management at the trade show events.
What is a district manager? Is that like for venues or what?
District manager means I am not necessarily local, although I can be. And I do a lot more management of talent at a particular trade show. So we may have 12 people in a booth, and I help manage that. And so I can crowd gather as well as host, as well as MC, and I've done backup MC, and also talent management is what I've done a lot here lately.
So tell me about your duties. What exactly does a talent manager do? Are you booking the talent yourself, or are you dealing with them once they're on the show floor?
Great question. I am dealing with them once they're on the trade show floor. Someone else is booking them, making sure that we have the right talent for this particular client. But once we get in, I make contact with them after they sign their contract to make sure we're there on time, to give them an overview of this particular talent, and overview once we get on site of how things are going to flow. And I manage break schedule and all those things throughout the day. And any pop-ups that may come up, our emergencies, I handle as well.
Like if someone were sick and couldn't make it to the show floor, then you would help find someone that was on standby or something like that.
Exactly.
Great. And when you're doing this lead position, does that mean you get paid more than the other talent? I hope.
Yeah, typically you do. And that comes with experience and just showing that you can handle that. You can manage people, and you can talk to clients, and you can talk to the talent, and you can be that go-between and on the spot. And you really, I think one of the main things as a lead that I enjoy doing is that you have the full 360 of what's going on constantly during that show. Whether it be you've got a customer at the front desk, or you've got an MC who needs a break, or you've got a talent that's coming back late from a break or early, and managing all of that all at once.
So are you also doing some training for the people that are coming on there?
Absolutely. And a lot of it, as you probably know, is on the spot training and training by example. So that happens a lot. Yes.
So tell me, what would you, looking at your agenda, what would you try to teach someone if they're just brand new in the industry?
If they're brand new in the industry, I want to make sure that they understand the integrity of the product. And that is the customer service and the treatment of our client. And when you're talking to a customer in front of the client, making sure that you know the product, or making sure that you're treating their customer like gold in front of them and not in front of them. And little things like being on time from your break is not being there at 12 o'clock when your break is over, but a few minutes before 12 o'clock, you've got your stuff tucked away, and you've checked your makeup or your teeth, and after lunch, just the little things to the big things, and making sure you're drinking water, because that's so important when you're on the trade show floor.
So
little
early
things
is on time.
Early is on time. Yes, Scott.
Absolutely. And you're not just looking for a pretty face to hand out a brochure.
No, there are tons of pretty faces. I like a pretty face that can talk intelligently and can carry a conversation and even has the ability to move a customer if that particular client needs them to go to a demo, and then to transition to the MC who's doing a presentation, and then come through and develop that relationship. How can they help develop that relationship with that customer?
So this is why you get paid more to be trade show crowd gatherer, host, hostess kind of person than being a brand ambassador out there, huh?
It is. It is. It really is.
What kind of person do you think makes a great... I'll call them hostess, host or hostess. What makes a great trade show host or hostess?
Oh, definitely customer service oriented. I know there are a lot of people who are great waitresses and waiters. Actors and actresses make great hostesses because they're always selling themselves and selling a product. Salespeople are great too, but you always have to have that customer service orientation. You can be any of those positions and not be customer service oriented. So having that customer service orientation and frame of mind is always important.
So is this something, is there a particular age that you're looking for, or sex, body type, model, or what?
No, for my particular industry, I have found that you could have the greatest personality, and you may not be the typical size that you see as a flight attendant or a hostess, but you know how to connect people, and you know how to listen. And you're not talking over the customer. And so the listening skill is a very keen aspect to being customer service oriented. So I will take that any day.
Yeah, we have a saying in our house, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth.
I love it.
You should always listen twice as much as you talk.
Yes, that's a great one. I'm going to use that.
Please.
Yes.
It's not mine. I got it from my pastor, but that's okay.
Okay, well, take your Pastor.
So right now you're telling me that anybody, it's really about the professionalism, about the outgoingness. One thing that's really, really important out there today is diversity too. So it's everybody. We're looking for everybody in this industry, aren't we?
We are. And I will say, to your point, I do have certain clients that will pick people that look like their customers. So they particularly, they may say, okay, we like this talent because she's Asian American, and then we have a lot of customers that are Asian American, right, or African American, or from Hispanic. We need somebody who can talk Spanish, fluently, and be able to interpret these different dialects and interpret our terminology.
So that actually is an extra skill, especially if you can speak another language. Do you have a lot of people that are bilingual?
Yes, we do.
So what languages? Obviously Spanish. I mean, that's you're in Texas. I'm in California. Boy, if I don't speak a little bit of Spanish, I can't communicate with my neighbors.
Yeah, exactly.
But what other languages do you find are needed or wanted?
I have found, for instance, a lot of international shows, French and Russian and German.
Huh.
Yes,
wow.
A lot of technology shows. It comes in handy if they can speak it and they prefer to speak in their native tongue.
I think you can also ask for a little bit more. If they're asking specifically for someone that can speak Russian, and you speak Russian, then, wow, that's an extra check mark.
Oh, yeah. And probably extra money.
Of course. That's what it's about. Now, speaking of money, is this like a career or is this like a second job kind of thing?
It started off as like something, I got into it through a fellow actress friend of mine, and it started off as supplemental income, and I just really enjoyed it. And then I started picking up more and more requests. So it has become in handy. I won't lie. It's been great.
Do you think that it's mostly a second job for beginning brand ambassadors or trade show hostesses, or do people mostly go into this and discover it's a job right away?
I have found a lot of people do this full time. I mean, this is their sole income. I know a lot of actresses where their stuff is maybe seasonal or touch and go. I do a lot of voiceover work, and our busy season is after the summer, especially in April, May, before the summer. And so it definitely supplements their income. And if they're waitressing locally or, doing other odd jobs that don't have a defined schedule or they're working nights,
right?
It typically does complement those that work industry.
So have you ever done any of the brand ambassador kind of things where you're doing more of the bar promotions or the local like radio station promotion kind of stuff?
I have not done brand ambassador. I went straight into crowd gathering and then became a lead after that. So it's an interesting world, promotions and brand ambassador. I have not done those. I'm typically a lead and trade show kind of person.
Well, I really do want it. Listen, if you're listening to our podcast right now and you are a brand ambassador, contact me. I want to interview you because I know so many people in the trade show world, and obviously there's a little bit more money in the trade show world. And my goal in doing this podcast is to bring you into more money, you into a career as a trade show, person or a brand ambassador. But I'm looking for people that I can talk to about the brand ambassador side of things as well, because there's a lot of work out there too. So
there is.
Yeah, please contact me.
And I know a lot of people that are in the trade show industry that come from that world, and they prefer to do the trade show just for the fact of making more money. But it's a great skill set they gain from the promotional world.
Without a doubt. And it is a great place to start out because then you kind of get the feeling of talking to people and interrupting people saying, hey, please try this this beer or this yogurt or whatever it is that you're representing, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Do you remember your very first trade show?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
It was great. It was a medical trade show, and I was the one I was right at the corner, the edge of the floor. And this was during the days when medical trade shows could give out great expensive prizes. And so they were giving away custom binders to go over their legal pads, that the doctors write on.
Right.
And you could get your name printed on it and things like that. So it became, it was crowd gathering that became crowd management, because it was a long line after that point.
And so in a medical show, I'm sorry, in a medical show, were you wearing like a business suit kind of thing? Is that how you're dressed, or was it a booth uniform?
Yes, great question. Yes, I was I had to be an all black business suit, and I had a white undershirt and closed toe shoes, black shoes, no heels. If the client requires heels, I know that we charge more for that. And
rightly so.
Yeah, that was my uniform.
Yeah, if you're going to make my feet hurt, if you want me to wear high-heeled shoes, I'll do it, but I'm going to charge you a lot more too.
That's right. That's right.
So if you could give yourself a tip 11 years ago from the knowledge that you have today, is there something you'd tell yourself as the starting out person?
Yes. Drink lots of water all day, every day. Because one of the things I learned, you're constantly talking. And even if you don't get a dry mouth, you get bad breath if you don't drink lots of water. So even if you're chewing gum and all these other things, you need to drink a lot. You need to keep hydrated. And being from Texas, that should be a known. But when you're on the show floor, it's 10 times as worse, because you're constantly talking. You're constantly moving around, and your body is going to need that extra oomph of hydration. So
I agree. I keep a bottle of water with me all the time.
Yes. And drink it. A lot of times we get so bogged down with what's going on and trying to do our job the best we can. But in order for you to do the best you can, you got to drink some water. Take those breaks and tell your lead, I'm just going to get a quick sip of water and I'll be right back. When it's downtime, even if it's not your break time, get that drink of water.
All right. So now you're a lead, which means that you're someone that if I was on the trade show floor, I want to please because I want a good report and I want to work some more. So 11 years ago, you weren't a lead. What's the best way to, I don't want to say suck up to the lead, but I mean, I want to please the lead. What's the best things I could do?
One thing is, like you said, early is on time. I'm a stickler about that because it throws everybody else off, and you don't want the client to see that. So that's my biggest pet peeve. Early is definitely on time. And also being courteous and being a kind person. I mean, you can win me over with kindness in a second like that. And being a part of that is being flexible. If you must have your break at a certain time, that's perfectly fine. But if the next day, if it's a three-day show, if you say, you know what, I'm open, put me wherever you need me, I'm good with that. That goes a long way, and leads always remember that. And of course, doing your job.
and sometimes going above and beyond. The thing is that taking a little ownership of the booth that you're standing in. If you see a piece of trash in front of you, don't wait for the convention center person to come by and pick it up. It makes your booth look bad. You pick that up, right? Yes,
absolutely. That's so important. The little things like that, and treating other people how you want to be treated. Just like you said, don't wait for the cleaners to pick it up. If you do it, you're helping out those cleaners as well, and you're also servicing your client and your lead to a greater degree. So that's all being kind.
And you don't have to wait for someone to actually see you pick that up, because trust me, they do see you picking it up. You will be noticed as the one that was cooperative, flexible, and went the extra mile.
Yes. And drama-free.
There, that's very important. You want to be drama-free. Let me ask one last question. Do you do mostly shows local, or do you do them all over? Where do you end up traveling to if you go all over?
Well, I actually live in Houston, Texas, so I do a lot of shows there. And I also work for the airlines in Los Angeles, California. So when I'm there, I will do shows there. And then the client will pay for me to fly wherever to do a show. So I've done shows in Australia, which Gold Coast, Australia, which is great. I've done shows in New Orleans. I've done shows all over.
So you have
if
to be a little
willing to pay. It's great.
you have to be a little reliant. You have to know how to travel, and I find when I hire an assistant for a magic show, I love hiring people that have been in the flight attendant world because they know how to take care of themselves. They know how to travel, and I don't have to worry about them.
So, I never thought about that.
Yeah. So there's a whole lot of trade show hostesses that are also flight attendants. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because they're comfortable traveling, used to being in a hotel room, know how to be there on time because they can't make the plane late. Those are good things, aren't they?
Yes. And just FYI, I actually work on the ramps, so I am. I tell the pilots where to park their plane.
Do you?
I'm not a flight attendant. Yeah, so it's a little bit different for me.
But you still know how to travel. I mean, if you're living in Houston and you're traveling to LA, and you get all the perks of working for the airlines too.
Yes, I do. But in the trade show world, they actually pay for my ticket, so
they do. And you know what? I get a lot of those perks too, just because I travel so much. So I'm on A-list and Companion Pass and Admiral's Club and all those other things for the other airlines, just because I travel so much. So it makes
you have to pay the bills.
Yeah, it actually the more you travel, the easier it gets.
Yes, very true.
Yeah.
You got some good sayings here, Scott.
All right. They're not mine, but I'll take ownership of them for the podcast nonetheless. Well, Channon, I want to thank you very much for coming and spending some time with us on Face the Event. Do you like people to follow you on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or anything?
Sure. Yes. I am the Traveling Actress on Facebook, and I am Channon Dade with a C, ChannonDade, at Channon Dade on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Great. Well, we will definitely put that up. If you're watching us on YouTube, you'll see the name just beneath the picture here. And if you're on the podcast, look in the notes. So thank you, Channon. I really appreciate your time. You were a wonderful guest, and I hope you'll come back with us sometime again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. We want to thank Channon Dade for sharing with us some tips and tricks for the trade show world. And now it's time for our facepalm. Every week we do a facepalm. This is how we close the show, with something embarrassing or unbelievable that just makes you put your hand on your forehead in disbelief. And today's facepalm isn't really about an activation like at a bar or a restaurant or a supermarket or a trade show. This did happen while this person was doing some talent, actually singing in a a cappella group. But I'm sure we can all sympathize with this facepalm. I can't even give it a proper introduction. It's so embarrassing. Here's Becky Jo Schwarz.
So, when you're on the trade show floor, it's all live, and other industries are very similar. So when you are delivering your spiels, things like that, you can kind of get on autopilot. Try to avoid that, because one time I did that. I was performing, and we're singing our song. It's a cappella group, and at one point we have to pick an audience member to join us for a song, and we do, and the person happens to choose a quadriplegic, which is fine because we just needed them to say yes until the middle, where my part would ask them to snap along with us. Now, knowing he's a quadriplegic, You would think that I would shut autopilot off and not ask him to snap with us. Oh, no, I still asked him to snap along with us. And when he didn't snap along with us, I then said, come on, can't you snap along with us? So, very important. Whenever you're in an industry that's live and you have a lot of experience doing it, please make sure that you don't go on to autopilot and miss the obvious right in front of you.
Well, that's a facepalm I will never forget. Thank you, Becky Jo Schwarz, for really wearing your heart on your sleeve and sharing with us one of the most embarrassing facepalms I've heard in a long time. Well, that wraps up the Face the Event podcast for this week. Remember, we are available on just about every podcasting platform. If you're on Stitcher, if you're on Apple iTunes, if you are on Spotify, if you are watching us on YouTube, remember, subscribe. And you can help us if you'll actually review us. Give us a 5-star review. Leave a couple of notes. That'll make us get motivated and continue with the information that we're delivering to you every week. Well, until next week, I hope to see you on an activation, and I'm ready to face the event.